Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Nivashesha Shunyavani Paschatya Deshatani. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jaya Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sriva Gauda Bhaktavinda Gauda Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna. Gopinath, Radha Gopinath, Radha Gopinath, Radha Gopinath, Nitai Gaura Hare Hare Gaura Hare Nitai Gaura Hare Nitai Gaura Nitai Gaura Hare Jai Jai Prabhupada Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada
Sataya. Om Shanti Tatsu Samadatanjana Tasmai Sri Gurave Sri Caitanya Manavistana Pavitam Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sarvanatika Vansakalpa Trubhistya Shukasindhavita Gitaram Bhavayoga Vaishadivya. Hare Krishna. I can't help it but remember that that this has been a very adventurous few weeks for many, many devotees all over and people in general all over the world. And I say adventurous in a not a fun way. There's an old Chinese curse, may you be born in interesting times, because really people want peace. But anyway, Krishna Lila has come back from quite an adventure and survived that, and also Vasudam survived quite an adventure, and others too, but Krishna Lila just came back from Israel. How long were you there?
17 weeks.
Yeah. Quite an adventure, yes. Did you feel frightened?
I was in a less affected area.
Yes.
My father was in a more affected area.
Yeah. And, but still, it's anxiety when people are trying to kill you. And I mean, not that everyone is innocent there. It's a very difficult world. And Vasudam Prabhu just had major surgery in the hospital, and by Krishna's grace has survived and had some very deep thoughts about life and its purpose. And there's nothing like being close to the end of one's mortal existence to place things in perspective of what's important and what's less important. Is that true? Yeah. So anyway, happy to see everyone, but see both of you especially. This chapter that I wanted to read from, last week we had quite a long introduction really to this chapter. And this chapter is chapter 17 in Madhya Lila, where Mahaprabhu wants to go to Vrindavan, and he actually leaves for Vrindavan from Jagannath Puri. He's a sannyasi at this time. This is not the first time he's wanted to go to Vrindavan. He's wanted to go to Vrindavan as soon as he took initiation from Sripad Ishwara Puri. He wanted to go to Vrindavan, and the Devatas, the demigods, they spoke from the sky, Akashvani, and said, you have a mission to do. You have to start the Sankirtan movement. So Mahaprabhu went back to Navadvip and indeed began the Sankirtan movement, which purpose really is to bring all of us to Vrindavan, to Goloka Vrindavan. Then after he took sannyas, he also wanted to go to Vrindavan, but then he turned around and went back to Jagannath Puri. Then he was in Bengal. He wanted to go to Vrindavan through Bengal, and Sanatana Goswami reminded him that unless you have some other service to do, the way to go to Vrindavan, or the way to be in Vrindavan, is in a very internal mood. A very internal mood, very careful and very internal. And this time, this is the fourth time, Mahaprabhu is actually successful in his attempt to go to Vrindavan. And in his attempt to go to Vrindavan, and then his being in Vrindavan, he's completely exemplary on how to go on pilgrimage to Vrindavan, or go on pilgrimage to Srila Mayapur, Jagannath Puri, or more or less any holy place. But he's going to set the perfect example on how to go to Vrindavan. And also, when he's in Vrindavan, he's going to set the perfect example of how a devotee should be internally absorbed. Internally absorbed. And the nature of material life and the nature of just living in Kali Yuga, it tends to make us completely externally absorbed. It's very hard to be internally absorbed because the external world is so demanding, and it evokes, unless we are very deep internally, it evokes an enjoying spirit which lures us into external consciousness. So a devotee has a means to, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, a means to to deal with the world, but yet not to remain absorbed in Krishna, and that is by seeing the material world as Krishna's energy, to be used in Krishna's service, especially in the preaching, in the mission of preaching the messages of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But it's not easy to do this. It's easy to do it if we are very, very deep. And the problem is that I don't know how to say it politely, we're not very deep in our Krishna consciousness, and we don't, and it's an obvious point in one sense. Say if I want to get in my car and drive somewhere, how do I do this? What do? I have to keep the goal, where I'm heading for, the destination in mind. And if I don't know where I'm going, or if I have, if it's not clear, then I'll get distracted and go left or go right or go this way or that way and stop and look at this and play here for a while. So really the important thing is to deepen our desire to achieve the goal. And then from here to that goal, it's going to be quite an interesting adventure. You could be sure about that. But if we keep the adventurous service, then things are, our life is service, then service to Krishna, then we will pass through all the difficulties of life. And the problem is we forget the goal, and we forget that what we're doing is service to Krishna. So therefore, not only do we get lost, we get completely entangled, and we go up and down and up and down. But Krishna's so kind. It's not the kind of kindness that anyone wants, but sometimes he'll remind us that we're forgetting that our life is service, and we're forgetting where we're trying, what the goal of life is and where we want to go. Again, the problem is that we don't want to really deeply want to go where we say we want to go. We don't really deeply think about the purpose of life as what the great acharyas, the great teachers say is the purpose in life. Prabhupada was so bold on this. He would even say that you have no other duty except to develop your Krishna consciousness. No other duty at all. And we fill our life with so many other duties. So we're entangled, and also we should set an example, and we should be responsible. So we have to do all our other duties, but we should do those duties in such a way that Krishna is pleased, and do it for his pleasure. So we can engage everything in Krishna's service, even our material bodies. and taking care of them. That's not against the process of devotional service, even though we're not the body, etc., etc. So Mahaprabhu, acting as the greatest devotee, is going to show the perfect example of how to go to Vrindavan and how to act when in Vrindavan. And it's quite fantastic. So the first verse of the chapter introduces Mahaprabhu's going to Vrindavan. And interestingly enough, the chapter will describe Mahaprabhu's journey to Vrindavan through the Jarikhanda forest. It'll describe him stopping in Benares and then going to Mathura and then traveling all over Vrindavan in such an amazingly sweet and wonderful way. And how he interacts with the residents of Vrindavan, both the moving ones and the non-moving ones. It's just so sweet, and he's so deep always. Deeply, because he's Krishna, but in the mood of a devotee. So he's going to show the perfection of a devotional pilgrimage to Vrindavan. But he's so deep, and his mood is so full of love and devotion, and he's so happy to be in Vrindavan, and he's so, and the trees and the birds and the deer, everyone just reciprocates with him, knowing that he's Krishna. He loves them. He loves the dust of Vrindavan, and they all love him. But one of the things I find interesting, even though so many wonderful and amazing things happen in this chapter, what is Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, what is the first verse of the chapter? Because the first verse, which is a Sanskrit verse, he's going to emphasize something very specific. And it gives, in one sense, the essential point of the chapter. And out of the many, many things in the chapter, many events in the chapter, it's interesting, the one that he emphasizes, and it's practically speaking the first thing that happens in the chapter. Here's the verse. Gachan Vrindavanam Gora. Gachan Vrindavanam Gora. So when Mahaprabhu Gora is going to Vrindavan, Vyagre Ibha Aena Kagan Vane. So when he was going through the forest, there was Vyagre. Anyone notice what Vyagre means? I'll give you a hint.
Tiger.
Yes, tiger. So there's tigers, there was elephant, there were deer and birds as he was going through the forest. So Mahaprabhu was going to Vrindavan through the forest of Jarikhanda, and there's elephants and deer and tigers there, birds, ferocious creatures. But Preman Madan, that they became bewildered, completely bewildered by love for Krishna. And they, because of the depth of their love for Krishna, which came from the depths of his love for Krishna, they forgot they were acting on the soul level, the pure soul level, and the natures of their bodies were completely lost in the madness of their love for Krishna, which came from the madness of his love for Krishna. So, there's a hint for us tiger-like creatures and elephant-like creatures and bird-like creatures and deer-like creatures, etc. There's a hint that if we actually want to transcend the limitations and born of our material bodies and material minds, and the material body is based on the material mind, one really has to learn to love Krishna and become so internally absorbed that the external is put into its perspective, is not us, and actually external to who we are. Otherwise, we have to act according to the modes of material nature, which we have cultivated in this in previous lives, and it's not fun. So Preman Matan Sahan Nrityam, and they became maddened by ecstatic love, and they became dancing. Now, did you ever see an elephant dance or a tiger dance? Or see sometimes birds or deer seem like they're dancing? But it was so incredible. Mahaprabhu's influence on the souls of these creatures was so complete that they became dancing. They became maddened in love for Krishna. Previously, when Mahaprabhu traveled through South India, he would be so deeply absorbed. Anyone that he would touch, or anyone who saw him, became, anyone who he glanced at became overwhelmed with love for Krishna. But here, it wasn't people; it was forest creatures, and dangerous ones too. Vidadhe Krishna Jalpina. So they became maddened, and they would with dancing and chanting Krishna's holy names. So here is Srila Prabhupada's translation. On his way to Vrindavan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed through the forest of Jarikanda. Have any of you been to Jarikanda? You went, yes? And there's some, what did you see there?
They have, ISKCON devotees have built a temple now.
Really, in Jarikanda? And
So there is
a little bit louder, please.
There is Panchatattva, Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra Maya, and Radha Krishna.
Yes, but aren't there some rocks?
Yeah, rocks.
And what about the rocks?
Yeah, there are footprints of Mahaprabhu and the forest animals also. And they have built like a shed, and the shed has around 1.5 meter of wall around it. And on that wall they have done the paintings, very beautiful paintings
Yes.
of Mahaprabhu dancing with all the forest animals.
Yes.
And then there is a river at the back of that shed, and there is a water flowing from the
Yes.
paintings. Very beautiful.
Do you remember anything?
Same thing, very much. The footprints of animals and Mahaprabhu.
Which animals?
Lion, elephant, tiger, deer.
Anything else do you remember? Prachadama, did you also see?
I don't remember if I went.
You went? You were too little? But it was, when did you go? It was 2 years ago or something. You weren't too little. You just forgot. So on his way to Vrindavan, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed through the forest of Jarikanda. This is the introductory verse to the chapter. And made all the tigers, elephants, deer, and birds chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and dance. Thus all these animals were overwhelmed by ecstatic love. Second verse. All glories, Jai Jai Gaura Chandra, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhaktivedanta. In almost every chapter, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he glorifies the Panchatattva. Every chapter. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to all the devotees of the Lord. Sarat Kali Hoila. So this is Mahaprabhu's in Jagannath Puri. So when the Sarat season came, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to go to Vrindavan. In a solitary place, he consulted with Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar Goswami. Before he did something, he consulted. The Lord requested Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar Goswami to help him go to Vrindavan, because in the previous chapters it described how when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Ramananda Roy and the king learned that Mahaprabhu was going to go to Vrindavan, leave Jagannath Puri to go to Vrindavan, and he had been there for after he returned from South India, He wanted to immediately leave. And they said, yes, you can go, but just wait a few months because it's cold there. And then after a few months, wait because it's too hot. And then on for 2 years. And finally, and Mahaprabhu, amazingly enough, the independent Supreme Personality of Godhead, because they were doing this out of love, he listened to them until finally he said, enough. Yes, and I'm going. And a question came to my mind when I first understood this, because we tend to think of the definition of love as you give up your own interests for that of the beloved. But Mahaprabhu wanted to go to Vrindavan, and these great devotees, rather than giving up their interests, they wanted to be with Mahaprabhu, they completely stopped him from going to Vrindavan. So is that not love? Is that something other than love? And the answer that I understood is they just couldn't help themselves. Their love was so great, they just couldn't say, yes, you can go. They just couldn't do it. Their love was on the spontaneous level. They couldn't say, well, the definition of love is that I should put aside my interest. They were just so attached to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They just had so much transcendental love for him that they just couldn't tolerate saying, yes, go. Until this point. So they kept him in Jagannath Puri by delaying it for 2 years after he wanted to go. But then he said, now I want to go. Please help me go to Vrindavan. And Mahaprabhu then said, I shall leave early in the morning and go incognito, or meaning secretly. I shall go secretly. Why do you think he wanted to go secretly?
Otherwise people will follow.
Yeah, and he wanted to go alone because he wanted to maintain that internal mood. Because that's why he turned back when he was going from Bengal to Vrindavan. He turned back because Sanatana Goswami said there were so many people, he wanted to go to Vrindavan, and all the devotees said, great, let's go to Vrindavan. So they all went with him. So he was taking half of Jagannath Puri with him. And Sanatana Goswami said, you can't, that's not the way to go to Vrindavan. So that means that he's now going to demonstrate the proper way to go to Vrindavan, and not only the way to go to Vrindavan on pilgrimage, but also the way to live our life so that we end up in Vrindavan forever. Because in one sense, we're all on a great pilgrimage to Vrindavan, because that's the purpose of life. That's who we are. So Mahaprabhu said, I will leave early in the morning and go incognito, secretly, not in disguise, but secretly, and I will take the road through the forest. I shall go alone. I shall not take anyone with me. And if someone wants to follow me, please stop him. I don't want anyone to go with me. Why? Because if there's a few people, then naturally, this is described in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam too, that and Prabhupada also said it too, about his own servants. As soon as there's a few people together, immediately just, talking. And if everyone's talking, and then next thing they'll start asking you questions about this and that and this and that. And that will bring you outside of your internal mood, your internal absorption. Now, it's not recommended for the devotees to just live alone like that and just do nirjan bhajan. One has to be able to have the depth, the spiritual depth to do that. Because otherwise, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur saw all those devotees in Vrindavan, the Babajis, who were prematurely living alone as if they were just going to chant Hare Krishna 24 hours a day. He called that kaitava, called it cheating, because unless you have a full attraction to Krishna, your mind is going to wander in its very materialistic way, and you'll get yourself in trouble. So Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur said that I don't know the Bengali, but illicit. It's improper to take to the Nirjan Bhajan mode of Babaji until one is on the platform of Bhava Bhakti. Until one is on the level of Bhava Bhakti. That means one is not touched by Maya anymore. One is just under the control of Krishna's internal energy. So stop them. I don't want anyone to go with me. Please give me your permission. With great pleasure. Don't, yeah, okay, we have to give you permission, okay, but we don't want you to go. No, be happy at my happiness. So give me your permission with great pleasure. And do not be unhappy, even though you may be unhappy, but don't be unhappy. Be happy about my happiness. And it's considered inauspicious when someone is departing to shed tears. So if you are happy, I shall be happy on my way to Vrindavan. If you are happy, I shall be happy on my way to Vrindavan. So if someone has this deep desire to go to Vrindavan and make that the purpose of his life, we should also be happy about that, and we should help them in that way. And that will make the journey of everyone very wonderful. So upon hearing this, now how are Ramananda Roy and Srup Damodar going to react to this? Upon hearing this, Ramananda Roy and Srup Damodar Goswami replied, "Dear Lord, you are completely independent. You are Swatantra. To me, Ishvara Swatantra. You are the independent Supreme Lord." Of course, before when they were stopping him from going, they were in a different mood. But now he said, "Now I'm going." Basically, please be happy about this. And if you're happy, then I'll be happy. If you want to make me happy, then be happy that I'm going. But here their mood is shifted because they understand that, okay, the Lord wants to go. We can't stop him. We shouldn't. It's not proper. But there's going to be a but, more or less. You are completely independent. You are Swatantra. Since you are not dependent on anyone, you will do whatever you desire. But how interesting it is, up to this point, he didn't go because his desire is to please his devotees. This is the natural, the nature of Krishna and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They want to please. They want to please the devotees, and the devotees want to please him. This is the nature of the loving relationship between Krishna and the devotees. So Krishna wants us to be happy. He wants to please his devotees, but the problem is the devotees aren't in the mood of whatever you want, Krishna. This is my happiness, to please you. Not that the devotees aren't in that mood, but that's what we strive for. That's anyabhilasita sanyam jnana kamana vritam. This is what pure devotion is. And when one is incapable of being that advanced because you can't make believe that you're going to be more than you are. Of course, you can make believe for a little while, but eventually the tiger will come out. It must come out. So it's better, as Mahaprabhu told Ramananda Roy and Stene Sthita Srutagatam, stay in your position. Don't make an external change so rapidly. But just hear about Krishna and develop that desire. Let that desire really develop so it's so strong. And then you'll be in that position to do what Krishna wants. Out of the happiness of your heart, out of your attraction to Krishna, out of your love for Krishna. Stene Sthita Srutagatam Tanovan Manobir. But hear about Krishna. Hear about Krishna so the heart becomes purified. Vidyantistoya Bhadrani, the Krishna in the heart will purify. And by hearing about Krishna's qualities, then we also naturally want to meet and have a relationship with this person who is so charming. So they said, you are these. So they said to Mahaprabhu, but we should, oh yes, there's another point that I wish to make, that if we're not on that level, whatever level we are on, we have to be honest and act properly on that level, but we should be humble. The ideal is given to us because we can't compromise the ideal, because then we'll think the less than ideal is what the ideal is. This was one of Narada Muni's criticisms of Srila Vyasadeva in putting together the Karmakanda sections of the Vedic literatures, is that people will think that this is the goal. And it's just actually a step towards the goal, but they'll think it is the goal, and they won't want to change and perform any austerities or anything. So he considered that a fault, and he said, better you directly speak about Krishna, who was all attractive, and establish Krishna prema parama artha, mahan. Establish Krishna prema as the goal. And sometimes, again, we forget the goal. And then the insignificant in our life becomes significant to us. That which we have to do, and that which we should somehow find a way to engage that in Krishna's service, somehow or another, so we don't have a duality in our life. We don't have this is for me, this is my part, and this is Krishna's part. So we want to bring the parts of our life together as best we can, and be humble, and never think ourselves big devotees or anything. I just heard Prabhupada say that this morning, so it's on my mind. But they said, you're independent, Swapdamana Ramananda Royce, you're independent, you're going to do what you want. But when you go through the jungle, because he said he was going to go through the jungle, when you go through the jungle, there'll be no Brahmana available from whom you can accept lunch. How are you going to eat? Therefore, please give us permission. Please give permission for at least one pure Brahmana to accompany you. One pure Brahmana to accompany you, to take care of you. We're not asking much. And what they were asking was unselfish. But in case they were thinking, I'll be that person, don't worry, we want one, just let one person come with you, and I'll be that person. Mahaprabhu replied, I shall not take any of my associates with me, because if I choose someone What do you think the next thing he said?
I'll be biased to another.
Huh?
I'll be biased to.
Not I'll be biased, but yes.
There will be commotion or fight.
Yeah, they'll be unhappy. Oh, I didn't get to go. Mahaprabhu doesn't like me. Yes, Vasudama.
Then you have to take everyone.
Then yeah, it's either everyone or no one, basically. So he said, I can't take everyone. I can't take everyone, so better I don't take any of my associates with me. So then what is Srimad-Bhagavatam going to reply? Because he wants the devotees to be happy. So he said, then I'll take one and I'll have one who's happy, but then there'll be so many who are unhappy. So then he said, yes, this will be your happiness, that someone comes with me, but it can't be any of my associates. Such a person must be a new man, and he must have a peaceful mind. If I can obtain such a man, I shall agree to take him with me. Srimad-Bhagavatam then said, here is Balabhadra Bhattacharya. He thought of someone immediately, and this is perhaps the person who he had in his mind. Here is Balabhadra Bhattacharya, who has great love for you. So there's the first qualification, because it's very hard to serve a person like a boss without pay, and that person loves you. Then service is the most natural thing. He has great love for you, first qualification. And then the other qualifications that would be pleasing to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's an honest, learned scholar. He's advanced in spiritual consciousness. He's a scholar. He knows what to do, what not to do. He's honest. And he's advanced spiritually. He's a pandit, he's a sadhu, he's Arya, advanced, susnigdha bara. So he has so much affection for you. In the beginning, he came with you from Bengal. It is his desire to visit and see all the holy places of pilgrimage. So he also wants to go to Vrindavan and see these holy places. So he sounds like the perfect person. In addition, you may take another Brahmin, another person, they're saying, so two. But it doesn't, I'll read this. You may take another Brahmin who will act as a servant en route, on the way, and he will make arrangements for your food. So Balabhadra will cook, and this other one will do something else. You can also take him with you. If you also take him with you, we will be very happy. So Mahaprabhu placed his request, please let me go, and if you're happy that I go, then I'll be happy. And their response was in a similar sweet rasa mood, is that yes, we'll be happy if you do these two things, because your desire, as you said, was to make us happy. So this will make us happy if you take these two people with you. But then, and you can go, so therefore he'll have your desires met, and we'll be satisfied that you're going to go without overly being inconvenienced. And the other Brahmana, if you can also take him with you, we will be very happy. If two people go with you through the jungle, there will certainly be no difficulty or inconvenience. The other Brahmana can carry your cloth and water pot, and Balabhadra Bhattacharya will collect alms and cook for you. These are the roles of the two assistants. And there's no mention of who that other Brahmana was or his name. He just remains a servant of Mahaprabhu, and he's not mentioned, practically speaking, anywhere else. But we know that he went. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the request of Srup Damodar Pandit, and he agreed to take Balabhaja Bhattacharya with him. He's not even mentioned, and the other Brahmana. On the previous night, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had visited Lord Jagannath and taken his permission when he went to Bengal, trying to go to Vrindavan through Bengal. He asked Lord Jagannath permission to go. He respectfully, because he was leaving, because you don't because when people go to holy places, they go and take shelter of that place. They're taking shelter of Krishna. Here he was taking shelter of Lord Jagannath, and Lord Jagannath, he felt, was always taking care of him. So when someone has taken care of you, obviously when you leave, you have to ask permission and thank them and make your prayers to him. So previously, when Mahaprabhu was going to Vrindavan through Bengal, he went, and immediately something happened. There was what's called an Agya Mala came, which means a garland that signified the Lord's order or permission to go. And here, it doesn't mention that, but this is because he wanted it to be completely secret. Mahaprabhu wanted it to be completely secret. So it says the night before, because if he went early in the morning to take permission, there'll be maybe many devotees there, and then he would leave. And so he went the night before, and then he went to his home and took rest. So no one knew that he was going to leave. So on the previous night, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had visited Lord Jagannath and taken his position. Deki Agyalan. Now near the end of the night, it was still nighttime and dark, and no one could see him. The Lord got up and started immediately. He was not seen by others. Because the Lord had departed, the devotees, unable to see him early in the morning, began to search for him with great anxiety. Where is our Lord gone? Because this is the nature of love. They loved him so much because he was so lovable, and because they were also so lovable and great because of the relationship. So they began to search for him in great anxiety. But what had Mahaprabhu already done? He told Srup Damodar, if anyone wants to follow me, I will go secretly. If anyone wants to follow me, what did he say?
Stop.
Please stop him. So while the devotees were searching for the Lord, Srup Damodar, he restrained them. Thus everyone fell silent because they couldn't complain, because it was the Lord's desire. But they couldn't agree because they would miss him too much, so they just didn't say anything. Everyone fell silent, knowing the mind of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that he wanted to go alone. The Lord abandoned walking on the well-known public road and went instead along a bypass. He thus kept the city of Cuttack on his right, and he entered the forest. And we'll stop here. Thank you. What do you remember? What struck you, if anything? Any pictures stick in your mind? Because it's very image based. pictures. What picture sticks in your mind, if any? Yes, Brother
The devotees not being able to, their love was so intense they couldn't stop themselves from telling Lord Chaitanya to not go, to go, giving them permission to go.
Okay, which side was this one on?
This was the beginning of your.
Oh yeah. So they couldn't let him go.
Is that it was just their intense love.
But later, so it's so interesting because later on they say he's Swatantra. So he knows everything. He knows that they're tricking him, but he allows them to do it because he's acknowledging their great love for him. Because they already knew he was Swatantra, but still they just couldn't let him go. Like, and that happened with Srila Prabhupada too. In his last days, it was approaching Govardhan Puja, and Prabhupada said that he wanted to go on an ox cart, and he was so thin and unhealthy, and it was very nearing the end. He wanted to go on an ox cart. So the devotees were caught because everyone always really tried their best to follow whatever Prabhupada said, even if he said something casually. Everyone just took it, there was nothing casual. So he said he wanted to go, and he told His Holiness Lokanath Maharaj to prepare an ox cart, and he would go. So some of the devotees said, we have to let him go. This is Prabhupada. He said he wants to go. And other devotees said, we just can't do it. We can't do it. We can't say yes. Because we know what's going to happen. The roads, an ox cart, it'll be the end. So they went to Prabhupada. And they said, Prabhupada, you're making us crazy. We can't say no, but we can't say yes. Please don't go, please don't go, please don't go. And then Prabhupada didn't go. And then when his dear godbrother Kinshana Das Babaji Maharaj came, he said in Bengali to him, see how much they love me. Yeah, that was, yeah. Yes. Anyone else? Any pictures? What does the picture look like, Bhajbihari?
What does the picture look like? Just those two devotees being so overwhelmed.
Yeah, they just couldn't give him permission.
Yeah. Even though, so the intelligence is saying one thing, and their heart is saying something else.
And even their heart is saying one thing, and their heart is also, and therefore when there's a contradiction, a paradox on that level, you become mad. Thank you. Anyone else remember something, or something struck them, or any question or anything? Yes.
So Maharaj, I was thinking about the other servant who went with Founder-Acharya. So he was so humble and so much in service that he was always doing service, but still he was always staying at the back and being humble, and like his name wasn't even mentioned.
The other one. And as far as I remember, it's never mentioned again that there was a second devotee with him. Last one, anyone else? Yes.
So you mentioned about that, the definition of love, that you need to secure others' interests over yours. When you mentioned about that, Mahaprabhu wanted to please them first, and that's why he even started asking for the permission. So I mean, I just wanted to ask that in our practical lives, here we are talking about Chaitanya Charitamrita and both of the parties are devotionally aligned with each other, showing love to each other. But in our practical life, when there is emotions are there between between the parties, but it might include that both of them are not emotionally devotionally aligned. At that point, what decisions should we take?
Well, the first point is that, again, the Mahaprabhu is showing the ideal. So you're immediately speaking about an unideal situation. So you can't take the principles that apply in an ideal situation and apply them exactly in an unideal situation, because you have to be more practical and you have to have the goal in mind, and yet you don't want to disturb people. So there's a tricky balance, knowing how to apply what principle at what time, how to apply it practically. That's called wisdom. And another point is that this is on the ideal is on the level of pure love. And in the material world, no matter what it looks like externally, there's some selfishness there in the material world. So it's not really love. And then in the spiritual world, no matter what it looks like externally, there's no selfishness. So the example is given in Adi Lila chapter 4 of the gopis. Before they go out, they're combing their hair, they're looking in the mirror, they're doing this and that. So normally one would think that that's just, a vain, selfish thing, but it's only for Krishna. So everything, the real thing is in the spiritual world, and the reflection is in the material world. So when people ask a question like that, usually they're thinking of something very specific, but asking in a general way. So therefore I didn't answer in a specific way. I answered in a general way, because if I try to answer in a specific way, it probably doesn't have anything to do with what's really you're thinking about inside when you're asking that question.
Yes.
Okay, one more question and then we'll end. If there's any questions. Isn't Chaitanya Charitamrita wonderful? That's the question. Last question, maybe. You like? Pratsudama, what picture comes to your mind? Next class, you'll get to have a picture in your mind of tigers dancing. You ever see a tiger dance? Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Nitya Gaur Premanande Hare Hare.